Welcome to my podcast. Today's dream, tomorrow's reality. My name is Vicki Poole. I'm a master transformational coach and hypnotist specializing in habit change. And this podcast is sponsored by the Enlightened Peach. And it's all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life anyway? Well, it is recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing, and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I am your host, and I would love, I've got a guest with me today. I want to introduce in just a moment, but I would love for you to do me a solid, and that is to leave a comment, ask a question, and always remember to like, subscribe, and share. So now let's get started. So this beautiful lady here is Robin, and is it Finnery or Finery?
Finney.
Finney?
Finney.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Finney, sorry. So, Robin, if you don't mind, just and I will share everybody. I don't really know Robin. I was introduced to her from a friend of mine, and so I'm super excited to have her here. And I've looked at her a little bit of a questionnaire that I send out to all of my contestants on the show, contestants, all of my guests on the show, and so I know a little bit, but we'll dive into that in just a moment. So, Robin, let them know a little bit about you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Vicki. I'm excited to be here. So, I am known to many as the wandering aunt or aunt, however you want to say it. And I've been nomadic for the last 7 years. I left behind the corporate life in 2018 and sold most of my belongings, and I've been living out of a suitcase pretty much ever since. I'm a coach. I support people in taking their own, what I call SOULO, solo experiences and journeys. And I also lead solo experiences. And I'm all about helping people embrace discomfort and step into the unknown because that's where the magic's found.
Ooh, I love that. I love that. So let's go back. What was your corporate career that you had?
So I was in the multifamily industry, particularly around apartments,
Okay.
and I was in communications, marketing. I grew with the company. I started from the ground up as a leasing agent and grew into a marketing, corporate communications role, and was with them for 11 years.
Wow. So I just have to ask. So you're in this corporate environment, and I'm assuming you lived near the location, correct? Because you went to work every day, because back then everything wasn't remote like it tends to be now. So what all of a sudden, I think I'm going to sell everything and be a nomad. How did that happen?
So I studied abroad in college, and whenever I started working, I created a work to travel mentality. And so I would save up my money, save up my vacation time, and I would take like one big trip a year with a couple girlfriends from college, and then I would not have any time left. And so
Ah,
I'd have to like work another like year because I'd use all my vacation time. And so I would get really depressed. Like I'd go through vacation depression and I would long for the next time I'd go on a trip. And so it's like I'd get this hit, like this drug. As a coach once told me, like that travel was my drug, and I would be miserable in between. And so I would be in that flow. But the irony here is my company, so I was on site for the first 3 years of my role. And when I stepped into a corporate position, I was the first marketing person on the team, aside from the marketing director. And we worked remotely. She was in Dallas, I was in
no.
Nashville at the time. And then I moved, my company transferred me to Dallas, and I still worked remotely. And so I've been doing that for a long time now.
Yeah, wow.
And one of the kickers in the end was I had asked if this is one of those like ask for forgiveness rather than permission.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked for permission to live and work in Mexico, and my company turned me down. And I was like, but I'm already working remote. And but there was a lot intertwined with perception and security and still being near and all of that. And so that was kind of the first clue into, okay, is this really like ultimately like travel just kept showing up as my love language in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I went on a retreat in 2017, and it was on the first day of the retreat that I just got clear that I needed to try this and see. And honestly, last week was my 7 year, what I call Nomad anniversary. And if you told me from the beginning, like I gave myself 8 months in the beginning to just travel, not look for work or anything, I would have never guessed that I'd still be doing it.
Wow. So, what's your favorite part about it?
Freedom and flexibility, those were my top two values when I started. I wanted to be able to be where I wanted when I wanted. And I honestly have no idea how that's worked out, but it's something where I like if you've read The Alchemist, he
Mm-hmm.
says that when you know what you want to do, the universe conspires to make it happen. And so that's really what my mission's all about is like when you follow your heart and really trust, like support will show up, and support has shown up in the most amazing ways. And that's really what's fueled me and kept me going in that regard.
Yeah, yeah, I love that book, by the way. It's on my bookshelf right over there. Um, but the thing is that, so did you have like a family unit that you left behind that said, "Are you crazy? What are you doing?"
Most
Mine
people
would.
were Most weren't really surprised because they knew like I'm a wanderluster and I've been traveling all these years. But I
See,
think
I
like
think my daughter would love that lifestyle, to be perfectly honest with
yes.
you.
I mean, it's freedom. It's like you don't have to have a lot of stuff. And but I think that was probably the part where people thought I was a little crazy. Like when I got to the point of like literally selling my things. And I have like I've condensed my life down to about 3 or 4 crates at my sister's house, some keepsakes, a few like kitchen things and clothes, but otherwise I sold like all my furniture. And 7 weeks into my journey I sold my car, and I think it's when I sold my car that's when I started getting like my parents and different people were like, are you really sure you want to do this? You want to sell your car? And I was like, yeah, I need the money. And so it was more like it's some of those like in cashing in
Yeah,
my savings. I like cashed in all of my retirement and savings
yeah.
to fund
So,
this.
so when you're going from place to place, do you rent Airbnbs? Do you stay in hotels? It looks like you're in a house now,
Yeah.
correct?
So I am. So I'm actually home base right now. My sister and her husband graciously have a spot for me when I'm in Dallas.
Okay,
So
that's cool then.
I
You
kind of
do
I always look at
have a
Dallas
place
as
to land.
I do, which
Yeah,
that makes a difference. That
yeah,
definitely makes a difference. And I call it like my transition place because I get to come back here, be an auntie, get to see my littles, change out my clothes. It's kind of like going shopping every time where I'm like, ooh, what do I have left in storage? And but otherwise it's a combination. I just left. I was living in Brazil for the last 2 years and I was in a relationship at the time. And so we had a place there. And then I do a lot of house sitting. Like I'll be leaving here in a couple weeks and going to Nashville and house sitting for a friend for a few weeks and watching her dogs. And I've had house sits all over the world. And so that sustains me a lot. And then I've slept on a lot of couches and it's amazing how I say that the energy you put out in the world is the energy you attract. And I've had so many invitations, just how our mutual friend connected me to you.
mm-hmm.
I've had so many invitations from strangers to come and stay with them or stay in their home. Sometimes they're not even there and they just leave a key for me, but it's all energy. It's like
Yeah.
that's what's really fueled me. So that's where I've really been the most fortunate because lodging is truly the most expensive part of travel.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. So when you get to where you're going, you don't have a car. And even if you had a car in Texas, you go across the country, you're not going to be carrying it with you.
Right.
So do you just make sure you get into an area where you can walk to everything?
Walkable or good public transit,
Okay.
or
I forget
access,
about
like
that because in
access.
Georgia, I'm in Georgia. There, you've got a certain amount, but it's not like you can just travel all over like you can in a lot of countries. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, in Dallas, like I use my sister's car when I'm here, but when I don't have access to that, I'll take the bus sometimes. And they do have a bus system here, and it takes a
Yeah.
lot longer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not above me to, I'm like, I will definitely take the bus, the train, all of that.
Yeah. So you are a coach, correct?
Yes.
So what are you coaching how to, I'm trying to read between the lines from the things that you said. So you're coaching people to be able to do this if that's what they choose, to be able to step out of their comfort zone and not let fear collapse them kind of thing, right?
Yes. And
Okay.
primarily, I tend to get clients who are wanting to take their own solo travel. Like maybe they haven't traveled by themselves before, or they haven't traveled outside of the US or their home country. And so I tend to get clients who I'll be supporting them in creating their own journey. And then I also work with clients who maybe they're in a transition and maybe they're not traveling, but they're looking to connect with themselves on a deeper level, or they're in a transition from divorce or retirement or an empty nester or changing career paths or a relationship. And so that's why I like doing SOULO,
Mm-hmm.
because it's connecting people with their own deeper experience, and travel is one facet of that.
Okay. All right. So very cool. So let's say, for instance, someone messages you, calls you, and says, "I'm really wanting to do this solo journey, and you're going to help them." How do you help them? I know that may sound redundant, but it's like I'm just trying to
Oh,
figure out
yeah.
what is that, you know?
Yeah. So one of the things I absolutely love is supporting clients on getting clear on what their intention is and how they want to feel. Because so often when you're going on a trip, going on a vacation, you're focused most of the time, we're focused on everything we want to do. We have a checklist. We're like, ooh, I'm going to Paris. I want to see the Eiffel Tower. I want to walk the Champs-Élysées. I want to do this. I want to do that. We're never rarely stopping to consider, like, how do I actually want to feel in this experience? How do I want to be? What are the types of people I want to meet? What experiences do I want to have and create? And so that's a big area where I'm focusing on that, because when you can focus on the feeling and the intention, that's going to translate into all areas of your life, so that you're not wearing like, ooh, because for the longest time I was like, how can I be travel Robin in all areas of my life? And
Yeah.
because oftentimes it's like when we're traveling, we have a completely different persona. We're like, ooh,
Yeah.
nobody knows me. I can be whoever I want. And so it's really inviting that energy back into your, like, quote, everyday life.
Yeah. Well, I have a funny story. It's not really a travel story, but it there was a time that I'll let me back up. I am an extrovert introvert kind of thing, and I
Same. Yeah.
grew up in my parents were hairstylists. They had a salon, and so I learned early on that you talk to a client and you kind of mirror them. You talk their conversation, you almost become something like them in that conversation because it
Mhm.
makes people feel comfortable and come back, right? Well, I've learned that so well that I did it all the time. So I was never being me. And that's one of the reasons why I started a podcast. But I went to a spiritual retreat a few years ago. It was right the early in COVID that I went. And at that retreat, nobody knew me. I didn't know anybody. I didn't even know the woman who was facilitating it. It just came in my feed from somebody else and I went. And we were in Sedona, Arizona. And during that retreat, there were drum circles, they were dancing, there were all these things. And one morning we were going to go, and this is a long story. I'm sorry. I apologize ahead of
No, it's
time.
good.
But we were going to go hiking because we were going to the different energy centers and we would hike every morning. And as there's several of us in a car, it's really cold outside, and we're sitting in the car with the heater going, and the facilitator's going from car to car. And she's just flitting about, she's just, whoo. And I had already been admiring her and her spirit the whole time. And as she's flitting from car to car, she gets to our car and she tells us, this is the GPS where we're going to be going in case we all get mixed up and don't follow each other, so you can find it. And as she walked away, I said, "Oh my gosh," I said, "I just love her and her energy, and I wish I could be more like that." And everybody in the car started laughing at me. And at first I was a little offended, what the hell are you laughing at? And they said, "Vicky, are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "That is you. You have been that way this whole time."
Mhm.
And all of a sudden it dawned on me, because I had been, when the drum circles were going, I'd close my eyes and I would just let my body move and everything. Now, if I had been out with a bunch of people I know, would I have done that? No, right?
Yeah.
And I realized that when it didn't matter to me if anybody saw me or anything like that, I was being exactly like the person I wanted to be like. And it was so enlightening for me to realize that I was that person. I just wouldn't let it free. And that, I mean, from what you said, that's just what that brought up for me, you know?
Yes. That is so that's gold. And that's how it is. It's like we don't give ourselves permission to be that expressed when really it's like when we are that expressed, it invites other people to step into that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that you were giving that invitation to the other people in your group
Oh, yeah.
as
It's the
well.
best retreat I've ever been on. I mean, it was amazing. And I think a lot of it was because of that. And it was after that that I decided I wanted to free my voice too. And that's when I started a podcast.
Ah, see?
Yeah,
Oh, it's so good. It's
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
And that's why I'm a certified retreat leader also, and I love
Ooh.
the power of retreats for that
Mm-hmm.
reason. It gets you out of your like everyday
Yeah. So not to
zone.
interrupt, but I am interrupting. What is a certified retreat leader? That just
Yeah,
sounds
that's great.
intriguing.
Well, I went through a year-long program.
Okay.
It was part of my coaching when I went through my coaching certification,
Mm-hmm.
and my particular program had a retreat path so that you could learn all of the tools and
Okay.
knowledge and pricing and how to make a retreat, like create and design your own retreat business, and
Yeah.
also how to lead in a way that's transformational.
So I guess you had a little bit more of a connection with Sue then with her retreat stuff,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
I did. And that's what connected us in the first place. So
Yeah,
it's very
beautiful,
cool.
beautiful. I don't know when, but one of my friends, she and I are planning on doing some retreats. We don't know where yet. We don't know a thing about it. It's just one of those little dreams that we have. I know we'll get there within the next year or two. I just don't know
Yeah.
exactly when. We might do it at Sue's place. We might do it there and somewhere else. I don't know. But that just thought came to me as you were talking. And, and it's funny because, how synchronicities are,
Hmm.
but I went to a Pinners conference recently, which is just a conference where Pinterest people, come and sell
Oh,
their
okay.
wares, and
Yep.
you do arts and crafts with them and everything. But they also had different vendors there. And there was a group there, that I talked to, that they have a piece of property. Actually, I'm in Georgia. They're in Georgia, a few hours away from me, but they have a 14-acre property that they're doing retreats on.
Mm.
And I got their brochure because I thought, I want to go check that place out. So it's like these
Ah,
different little things keep happening to where I know it's coming. I know it's coming. Everything's
yes.
getting paved out there for it to happen. So we'll see, but I'll let you know.
Yes, please stay in touch, and I'm happy to be a resource in any way.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's and I love what you shared about the your retreat experience because that's part of it too with when I'm working with clients is they may not be ready to go and travel to a new city or out of the country. It can be intimidating. And so often I'll create little challenges and invite them to start local, start where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe start by going into a restaurant that is new to you, or where the cuisine is different, or drive in a neighborhood where people don't look like you, and start to get yourself like in that zone. And then that opens you up for when you are traveling in different cultures, different countries. It's not as like jarring at first, because then you're kind of like baby stepping your way in. And I like to say, like, I have some clients where it's like, just throw me to the wolves, let me go. And then I have others that they're like, no, I need, let
Baby
me let me
steps.
start here, I need baby, yeah. So, so I love, that's why retreats are such a great experience, because oftentimes you're with a group, you're with somebody who's guiding and leading, and it's opening up those experiences. And then you have a whole group of people who are mirroring back to you just as they mirrored back to you. And we're like, hey, Vicky, this is you. You're already, this is who you are.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting because I don't remember how many people, it was all women. I don't remember how many women were in that thing, but I ended up really befriending about four people and three of them I'm still friends with today. And it was, several years ago. And so we don't see each other in person very often, but we do connect on Zoom and keep in contact. So, and it's amazing to me that I met them so long ago and I'm still connected with them today. It's always fun to be able to hold on to that connection.
Yes. And those are the richest
Yeah,
connections
yeah.
in the world.
Actually,
Yeah.
two of them are people that were in the car that day.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what's been your favorite retreat that you facilitated or went to?
Whew. So I've been on many, and I've co-facilitated
Do you
a
do
lot of
ayahuasca
retreats.
retreats as
And
well?
I don't lead those myself, but I've attended one medicine retreat in Ecuador, in the year of COVID. In 2020 I went, but we did San Pedro, which is similar to
Mm-hmm.
ayahuasca. But I haven't dabbled as much in that regard. But I do a combination where when I'm attending retreats, I'll either do something that's usually spiritual based, or out in nature, connected to nature in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the retreats I co-facilitate are a combination of that, but also supporting businesses and entrepreneurs, and combining like strategy and intuition. And so I just got back from Mexico, a couple weeks ago, where I was supporting on a retreat. And the really cool thing about that retreat was I went back to this amazing place called Tailwind Jungle Lodge, and I was there in 2018. And it was the retreat that I was on right before I took the leap to becoming a nomad. And so 7 years later, I was back there, and
Oh,
this time as a
wow. Full
co-facilitator.
circle.
Full circle.
I
And
love it.
again, it's one of those, had you asked me 7 years ago, or told me like, hey, you're going to be back and you're actually going to be in a leadership role, I don't know that I would have seen
Well,
it
if you're
or
anything
fully
like
believed
me, if
it.
somebody were to tell me a few years ago that I'd be where I am today, I would have said no. For one thing, it would have scared the shit out of me, to be honest with you. You
Yes.
know, it's not like I would have said, "Oh, good."
Right. And that's where it's like I support people. Like I'll do or I do oracle readings, and that was a big pivot for me during the pandemic, because not many people were traveling, and so I had to pivot my business at the time. And I always think like oracle cards, it's not a prediction of the future. And I'm sure it's similar with you with hypnotherapy, but it is pulling out. I like to say like oracle cards are a mirror reflecting back what you already know. Um, and it's like if you visit a psychic or you visit someone and you're looking for like, what does the future hold? It may not, like, yes, it'll give you bits and pieces. And I still feel like knowing and not knowing that really, that's why I love the unknown so much,
Hmm.
because if we knew everything before, like you said,
What would
one,
be
it would
the
probably
fun?
stop us. Yeah, what would be the fun? And the other part is it would probably stop us from doing it, because we're like, oh, if I'm going to face all of those challenges, then
Yeah.
or you do it, but you're maybe constantly looking like, is this the time? Is this when this is going to
Yeah,
happen?
it kind of makes me think of when I watch a movie that's very, very, nail biting, all these things that's action packed and everything. If I watch it the second time, I'm more anxious because I know it's coming. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
yes.
yeah.
That's
So
so
I
true.
can
That
see
is so
that. Yeah.
true.
And, one of the things that I tell my clients all the time too is that we don't want to know because all we want to know is that we're going to have a good time doing it
Yeah.
because we want someone else to have an aerial view that might be able to direct us a little bit. But if
Hmm.
we knew exactly what was going to be happening, there would be so many things in my life that I would have said no to probably that I think were the catalyst to getting me to who I am today. Like I say in my intro, we have a mosaic life and you change one thing and we're different. And I love who I am today. Would I have picked every one of those things to happen? Hell no. But I'm glad they did because that's where I think my gift is from those. And so I think for me, like as a hypnotist, I'll have people say, I want you to make it where I don't remember this. I actually had one, believe it or not, I had one woman who wanted me to remove her ex-boyfriend from her memory.
Oh, like a eternal sunshine of the spotless mind.
Yeah. And I said,
Oh,
that's not the way this works. I said, plus,
yeah.
you want to get past this and look back and see what the value was in that relationship, not
Mm.
obliterate it from your life.
Yeah.
Because if you don't ever get the gold from that one, you're going to experience it again somewhere else. And
Yeah.
so that's not what hypnosis does. And there may be some hypnotists out there that can do that, but I think people have enough free will that I don't think that would ever be true. But,
Yeah.
who am I to say, right?
Well, and that's part of the pain, the our pain journeys. It's we want to numb, we want to get away from it, and the more we lean into it, one, the quicker we'll actually
Yeah.
move through it. It's like I love the analogy of the cows and buffalo running through a storm. It's like the cows will take shelter and wait for the storm to pass, whereas the buffalo and bison, they just like they meet it head on and they just move through it and they're out of it quicker. Whereas the cows, it's like then they're like under a tree and shaking and waiting in fear. And it's so that's so true with pain. And it's like I'm going through a breakup right now. I went through a breakup about 2 months ago and left my life in Brazil behind. And that's something it's like I've just allowed myself to just be in it. And some days I'm like totally like, okay, I've got this. And then other days I'm like really missing it. I'm missing him. I'm missing the life that I had and thought that we were creating. And I know that if I'm not giving myself that time to go through it, as you said, it's only going to show up again later. So it's
Yeah.
like we deal
Yeah.
with it when it shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
even saw there was somebody that was in my Facebook feed earlier today that they posted something about some negative things about themselves. And everybody in the comments was saying, no, don't say that. Don't say that. And I said, you're allowed to feel whatever you feel. And you need to feel it and get it out so that you can do something different. But until you can make peace with all this stuff and find some value in it, it's just going to keep happening. So feel it, get it
yeah,
gone. And that's not an easy thing to do. It can be very difficult to say, okay, bring it on.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what is the one thing that you would love anybody that watches this podcast learning a little bit about you? What would you want them to know about you or what you do or just something that you want to leave them with?
So one of the things that really spoke to me when I was stepping into nomad life and really has led my journey is I read this phrase and it ended up going on my vision board that year. If you don't know, if you don't go, you don't know.
Hmm.
Or you could say it in other words, if you don't try, you won't know. And so I always like to go back to if there's something that is just keeping you awake at night, not leaving you, it just keeps like it's like one of my cards calls it trust the niggle. And it's like something's just niggling at you and won't leave you alone. It's like it's showing up for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either just like let it keep showing up, or you can face, as one of my coaches says, face the fear and do it anyway. And it's like your podcast. It's like that was once like an idea, and then it's like you leaned into it and was like, hey, you know what? Let me just try it on. And now it's like you've been doing this. And I've had for 7 years, I've been sitting on a vision of leading a solo experience in Patagonia. And I'm
Mm.
finally like at the end of this year, I'm like, okay, we're doing it.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
it's like sometimes it's like you have to move through and a lot of things. And it's like I know when I got the download 7 years ago, I wasn't the person to be able to hold space for the people who were meant to come. And now I am. I
Yeah.
had to move through a lot. And I also had to move through a lot of blocks. And
Yeah.
so I would say, like, if there's something, whether it's travel or there's something else, a creative expression, art, anything like that, that you've just been like sitting on and thinking about a vision, lean into it and just take one step. Like start with one step and then enroll somebody else. Like tell somebody about it and then let them like mirror it back to you. Because
Yeah.
that's part of it too, is it's like we keep this stuff inside as well. And then it's like once we like, even if you just tell one person, then it's like putting it out there and it's like, okay, all right,
Taking
somebody else
ownership of it.
knows. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I got two little things I'll share with this, if that's okay.
Yeah,
One of them
absolutely.
is there's a story about Michael Jackson being, and you may have heard this before, and some of the people that have been listening to me a while, they hear this a lot because I love it. But he was in his hotel room asleep, and he woke up in the middle of the night with this idea of something, some performance. And so he called his manager, and his manager said, "Wait a minute, Michael, it's the middle of the night. Could you have not waited till morning?" He said, "No, Prince is down the hall, and if I don't take ownership of this, he'll get it." So I kind of feel like for me, that's what happens if I'm out on a walk and some idea comes to me, I immediately pick
Yes.
up my phone and do a voice note because it's like
Yes.
I like this one. I'm not letting this get past me, right?
Yeah.
So to me, that's ultra important to take ownership of something when it's niggling at you, especially the first
Yes.
time it does, because sometimes you don't get a second chance. It's like poof,
Right.
you forget, right?
Yep.
And it could have been gold. And the other thing is that I've learned recently, like just in the past couple of days, how easy it is to ignore some limiting beliefs that are deep down inside, right? And
Yes.
so I'm just going to give you a little story here, real quick, to make you understand. But Sue and I have a program that we have that is called Rewrite Your Money Story, because I'm a coach that, and money coaching is one of the things that I can do with my certification, right? So we have a workbook, we have all these things, and I do hypnosis and EFT and tapping with them, and we do all these things. And I've been working on my limiting beliefs for quite a while, right? So I thought that's good. That's good. And then we had this challenge thing that we did with this group about give Sue all your information about your dream clients and what you want to do. And then Sue's going to go and use one of her trained AI tools, and she's going to create you some offers to give to your clients, right? Or to put out there. And so she came back with a 25,000, 50,000, $100,000 offer that you could use. And it was amazing, right? So I thought, okay, everybody got those. Everybody said yay, but nobody's doing anything. So I decided I'm going to start with the $25,000 offer, and I'm just going to start marketing this thing. Well, as soon Yes, and I'll admit I've never sold a $25,000. The most I've sold is a $10,000 offer, okay? So I was stretching out here a little bit. And as soon as I started working out this offer and filling in the gaps, and then I was good with that. And then when I did a little bit of marketing, just a touch of marketing, suddenly all these limiting beliefs just started going, and so I discovered from that we can journal, we can do all these things, and we can pull up all those surface beliefs right there. But those that are
Yeah.
deep down in our gut, what brings them up in the light is taking action on something that scares the shit out of you. And as
Yes.
soon as you
Yes.
do, those beliefs start coming up. And if you're not really dedicated to moving through them, they'll shut you down. And
Yes.
so one of the things that I had expressed to Sue that this was happening, and I said, I'm logging everything because to me it's important. And then I want us to take our group through the same process because it's like we've just been playing on the surface. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, now it's time to dig in deep. And it sounds like that's what you do is you help them take that deep down, really buried all the way down to the bottom of their butt. It is
Yeah.
hidden and it's not going to surface until they really, really do something. And that's where you come in, right?
Yes.
That's a
Oh,
long
that's
story to
so
tell you that, right?
no, it's so good. And it made me remind like a couple things that came up for me was I thought I was really confident until I started my own business. It's like nobody tells you how in the beginning how starting a business is going to do that. It's going to like literally bring all the stuff that's hidden that you didn't even know was there. Because
Yeah,
when you're in a corporate job and you're just getting a paycheck every week and
yeah,
it's like you're not thinking about that. You're like, what? I get paid to show up. And
yeah.
it's not the case with running a business. And then also it's like with coaches, I love that because I say to my any like some of my clients are coaches and I'll tell them like sometimes you're 10 steps ahead of your client. Sometimes you're standing right next to them and working through the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's exactly like what you're sharing is exactly what I was working with my coach through last week on the call with I was starting to unblock like why Patagonia has been such a big thing for me is because it's like I have to step into someone who can be capable of holding a container like this and holding it's got a higher investment. And so that it's like, oh yeah, it started showing up. Like I was like, oh,
I
okay,
know.
all right.
It kind of
And
gets caught right here.
yeah, and then you're like, okay, I put it out there and then it's not that scary afterwards. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I did it. I did the first step.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I can do the next and the
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
But
To me, the first step was to actually go and post on social media that this program is coming. You know, it's coming,
yes,
you know.
yes.
And
Yeah.
so I've got a list of daily tasks to do. And it doesn't mean that every time I have a daily task to do with it, that it's like, "Beh, beh, beh, beh." No, it's
Oh,
usually like,
no.
all right, let me have a glass of water. Let me
Let
shake
me
out.
let me do
I
this.
even recorded a little audio for me to listen to before I get on the Zoom or get on anything so that it's like, yes, Vicky, you can do this. You've got the tools,
Yes.
it's pumping me up, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm doing whatever I can do to get past that belief and wrangle it to the ground.
Yes. Well, I'm cheering you on. I
Oh,
love that
wonderful,
because
wonderful. Thank you, thank you.
it's
Maybe you'll see in some of my stuff because I'm going to be much more visible with it. It's
yes,
a work in progress, and so I'm really excited about it. And I'm excited to have met you today. And I'm just going to put a little bug in your ear. When you do your retreat in Patagonia, if you need a hypnotist, reach out.
definitely. Absolutely keep you in mind. Yes. I actually see Patagonia being like an annual
Mm,
experience just because of
okay.
the change, the life-changing
Yeah.
magic that it brings. So I see it. I definitely see that. That's why I loved like your questionnaire asking like where you see your business growing. And that's one of the areas where I see this one kind of
Yeah.
being maybe my gateway signature program. And then I have other options, but we'll
Ah.
see. We'll see.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful. We
yeah.
don't know what the world is going to give us, and we don't know where it's going to go, right? Isn't that the
Oh
beauty of
no.
it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have loved this, and I would love to stay connected for sure. And
Yes,
so as we end, we're doing pretty good with time. As we end this today, I just want to remind everybody to like, subscribe, and share, and leave a comment, leave a question. And I know Robin would come back on and help you with it. And if you have a question for me, I'm more than happy to do that as well. So. Um, you have everybody that's watching and listening. You have an amazing day, and we will see you soon. Mwah.